Opposition groups in Bahrain have called on the government to allow a major demonstration calling for greater freedoms, which is planned for next month. The Gulf state's been seeing violence for more than 2 years now, with thousands of anti-regime protesters clashing with police on a daily basis. Let's now go to Saeed al-Shehabi, London-based activist from the Bahrain Freedom Movement. Mr. al-Shehabi, welcome to RT. Thank you very much indeed for joining us here. So the opposition is getting ready for a large gathering in August. So why are your rulers still threatening protesters with force when clearly it's not been working?
Thank you very much. Force is the order of the day, and it is the only weapon that has been left in the possession of the regime, which is supported by the United States, of course, and Britain. This is in addition to the Saudi forces which are occupying the country. Why are they facing the people with weapons? Simply because they do not have the ability to recognize the rights of the people. As a hereditary dictatorship, they cannot accept the fact that Bahrain could become a democracy. They would not allow people to choose their own rulers, their own representatives, their own democratic institutions. So the only way to counter these calls is by the use of force, as we have seen yesterday. Only one man, Saeed died because of excessive inhalation of chemical gases used by the regime. So the use of force has become the only tool in the possession of the regime to deal with the growing popular sentiments and opposition to this dictatorship.
Bahrain is sometimes said to be a nation where the Arab Spring never came to fruition. And now with Egypt's Arab Spring leader toppled and the whole situation in Egypt, are you still willing to push the ideals you adhere to?
The problem is that you don't have much alternative. On this program, several times I was asked why the Bahrain Revolution has not brought fruition. And I have always said that, unfortunately, all the Arab revolutions have been stalled, have been hijacked, have been contained by the counter-revolution forces represented by the Western countries and Saudi Arabia. Now, Egypt has become one of the first outrageous example where the counter-revolution has taken root. Now, for the Bahrainis, they don't have a choice. They cannot just keep quiet when they see their women being raped, being stripped naked in jail, as one of them openly confessed or testified in front of the court last week. They cannot stay silent when they see hundreds of them being sacked from their jobs, when there are thousands of people behind bars, when torture remains in force, when foreign troops remain on their lands. So I don't think it is an alternative to keep quiet. Silence is simply not a choice. You have to speak up and you have to change the situation.
Yeah, and also Bahrain's top imprisoned activist Nabil Rajab said last month his spirit is strong and that he'll continue fighting for basic freedoms there. How much of a thorn is his civil stance for the authorities, from your point of view?
Well, it is now exactly a year since Nabil Rajab had been taken in custody, tortured, humiliated, abused, attacked, and also Zainab Khawaja and other human rights activists. Of course, this regime would not tolerate human rights activists because they simply would expose the brutality of the regime. In fact, the Al-Khalifa regime has recently banned the visit by the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, because if he went there, he would again establish the use of systematic torture in the same way as Sharif Bissouni did 2 years ago. So the regime would not tolerate people like Nabil Rajab, who stood for or still stands for freedom of expression, for human rights respect, and also for democratic rights. So this is why he and his colleagues are being detained behind bars, subjected to most horrific treatment of torture and abuse. And I believe that the stance of these heroic figures is going to make a change. Today, I was reading an article about how the CIA had a role in abducting Nelson Mandela back in 1962. So unfortunately, these forces that are promoting democracy and the human rights in the West are not doing so when it comes to the Gulf region, to the GCC countries, and especially in Bahrain. I hope this changes. Otherwise, the whole region will remain unstable, and when it is being ruled by dictatorship and despotic regimes.
All right. London-based activist from Bahrain Freedom Movement, Saeed al-Shehabi. Mr. al-Shehabi, thank you very much indeed for your time. Thank you.